Making that shit obnoxious. Stop it, stop it. Quitting was never an option. And you cannot stop it. You cannot stop it. Stop it, stop it.
It's a great day to be a paper girl or a paper boy out there. I know you guys are having a lot of fun, and so are we. There was a lot of hype and anticipation. Yeah,
it's funny because the watch party that we showed, they looked like bored. They're like, yeah, this is normal.
They're too used to an APAC. Yeah, they're too used to an APAC. But this is why I was going to ask you guys. You know, we had expectations. It's the very early days, but have they been met?
Yeah, I mean, this map one was a stomp. It's exactly what we expected, exactly what we wanted from Paper Rex. I think everybody wanted them to continue exactly the type of stuff that they did at Reykjavik and the type of stuff that they've been doing online. It's so fun to watch.
I think one of the most fun things about this matchup is when you talk about in-game leaders who've had success on multiple different teams, the list is very short. In fact, I think it might just be called a mentor. The fact is, Benkai, he's made some incredible calls throughout this matchup.
Dude, this guy Jing is literally that showstopper right there. He's not even looking. He's like, where's the guy? I'm just going to guess he's behind Jen, and he gets the kill. He's so good, and he's always making a play with something from Paper Rex or some timing that he's trying to hit. Here, he's diving at his teammate who's getting pressured like crazy, Forsaken with the judge, and it nets him 2 kills for him.
You can't give them anything. You give them an inch, they take a mile, you know? You literally cannot make mistakes when you're with this team. I also want to touch on, though, Forsaken too when it comes to
106.
Yeah, I mean Jing and Forsaken as a duo, especially as you guys can see down there versus Trex and Leo. Trex and Leo are one of the most formidable duos of this entire tournament, and they made them look like just below average players on this map.
They're the guys who are having the best group stage.
Yes.
Like Leo of all time potentially, and now it's playoffs, and he's just gone because he's playing against Jing and Forsaken and Paper Rex.
Yeah, I think even just watching back some of those clips, you just see the sheer confidence of Jing. It's like he gets seized down to 1 HP. Does he hide? No, he's like, I'm going to hold the angle. They won't expect me to just sit in the open and stare at them. But that's Jing. It's like, it feels like when they were like putting in elements of fear, they just forgot it with Jing. There's nothing there.
It's just pure confidence, isn't
Yes.
it? Pure confidence. Speaking of pure confidence, it's time to take a look at the Verizon high-speed moment. And it's Paper Rex, so Tom, this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, of course, of course. The fact that Divide basically spent the whole game using the Odin is just hilarious, but of course it's going to be this man again.
Yeah, Jing is a nasty, nasty boy. I mean, he just sits behind the smoke, waits for it to fade, and then gets 2 of them. It's so good from Paper Rex, and Trex almost pulls it off, but this entire round felt super high pace, and eventually Jing is so Trex too, so good.
It's just got to be. It's just got to be a tilter when you throw everything at them, nothing works, and then they just end up doing the craziest things. But I will say that Safe had 305 ACS on a map that he only got 4 rounds.
Yeah, I think he was flawless in opening kills as well. So it's not even like he was having a particularly bad performance. It's just that they got boomed.
And that is actually a good sign. I mean, not the booming part. They're down map. They're down map 1, and they're going to Fracture next.
And it was their choice.
Pretty terrible.
Yeah.
It was their counter.
But if Safe is getting 100% opening kill success rate, that is literally something that is a win condition against Paper Rex. It's how Zeta Division took them down at last Reykjavik, and nobody else has been able to stop them because people haven't been able to put up numbers like Safe did in that map. But the rest of the team needs to understand how to fight back. For example, they took way too long to adapt to Forsaken's flanks.
This is the thing about Guild, right? In the past, when they're down, they're out. But recently, as they qualify for this tournament, and in this tournament, Tom, they have been down at times, but they're never out. They always find a way.
Yeah, I think the worry for me is that they went into Ascent with a clear game plan to try and, like, okay, this is a map we haven't played much. We'll go in and surprise them, and it just didn't really work.
And now we know what comp you're going to play.
Well, the other thing as well is you're going to know what they're going to do on Fracture. So is every other team that's played them on Fracture. They are super aggressive, and there is nothing you can do. They're just nothing.
I got nothing to say. It's true. Like, it's true. They play an unconventional comp, and they're playing Neon Rays at the same time, right? Because they're dropping an extra controller that you would use with Viper. So they're basically getting the double walls and sending it and doing what we saw on Ascent with them going on multiple sides of the maps at all times, just triple speed.
Well, I'm glad you guys mentioned Fracture. If we kind of go deeper into what we can expect from it, this is where, Tom, you said, well, you got to pick your poison. Is either Bind or Fracture. Now, after that Ascent, performance of just seeing Paper X bulldoze them over, I do feel like my hopes have gone down a little bit given that Fracture is the bulldoze map.
Yeah, this is the map where they literally just sprint at people at full speed. Like, Forsaken's Neon shouldn't be allowed. Like, I feel like his entry stats are always ridiculous, and he basically is just running at full speed at you. And he's almost like, in most of these rounds, you're going to see him as the first man in, as almost like the bait for Jing, but then he takes 3 players with him on the way, and Jing just cleans up the rest.
Yeah, it's really tough to deal with, I think. And for Guild as well, the comp that they've been playing, at least that they switched to, I don't necessarily think has had good success against this style of play on Fracture. And we've seen it go up against it. We've seen Optic kind of take down a number of teams with their Neon comp. It's much different than the one we're going to see from Paper X
This
right
is basically
now.
triple duelist.
It's basically triple duelist, and it's also high octane the entire time on all 4 sides of the map. So, like, for Guild, who we already saw had trouble placing their utility on specific spots to do anything against Paper X, now they have 4 sides to contend with.
But this is also
3 duelists.
I feel like this is where you realize that Benkai is actually a god. Because the man that is setting pretty much every single one of these plays up is Benkai, and he is very, very good on the breach.
Well, we're into the Prime Gaming Agent Select here. Paper X, they're 1-0 up right now going into their map pick of Fracture, and Jing has switched over to the Sage.
Oh, weird. Okay.
No raise.
Yeah, no raise on the Fracture, and I think it's just weird to pair it with the Sage here, this Neon comp. And they're going to stick with the solo Viper, too, on this map. I'm not a fan. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a fan. I would have rather seen them just stick to the double duelist because it's Paper X. So, yeah, I'm
I will
not a fan.
say, as a caveat, Jing Sage is a duelist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the way that he seems to just run into angles, wall himself up, and try and kill you. So, I will say that this shouldn't be something that makes Guild think they're safe from the way he plays.
And I also said at the beginning that I wouldn't say anything bad about their comps. So I take it all back.
Yeah, Jing's just going to run at them now. You just watch, Bala. You just watch. Like I said, this is on the pick of Paper X as we head into Fracture, and I'm going to hand this over to your casters, Bren and Sideshow.
Thank you very much, Sue. Let's get into it. Map number 2 in this series, Paper X. And Guild, they have been looking too clean in map number 1. That's Paper X, that is. But Guild, an opportunity for them to answer back, including Paper X changing up their usual composition as well. Making some adjustments, not playing the Raze anymore.
Definitely a little strange. I'm on board with Bala in the sense that I loved their previous comp, but it's Jing, and I don't want to doubt him at all. Because the stats he puts up on Sage are absurd. He gets over 150 ADR.
Tom said it, he's basically playing a duelist.
Yeah, I mean, he is playing a duelist, absolutely. He will swing you, he will fight you. The question is, how does it fit into their set plays? Because while I feel like Ascent proved to the world that Paper X are amazing at mid-rounding, Fracture is where they normally prove that their set plays are the best in the world. I think they are the top team right now for set plays. But the Sage doesn't seem to fit in as perfectly as the Raze did in the past.
No,
maybe I will be proved completely wrong.
I understand where you're coming from, though. It's a little bit slower. Can't exactly go for the double satchels, but is that ever going to stop Paper X? The answer's no. Already straight in, forcing the rendezvous out of safe just to back away. And Guild, they are not going to be in position to try and deny the plant. Have to be playing for that retake. Step 1, though, break the Sage wall.
One of the other crazy things watching Paper X is that they have very elaborate post-plant setups occasionally, and you can see Mindfreak dropping back here, I think so that he can play some of those.
Oh, the fight being taken place here, right on sand. No coverage from Drop. Guild, they've got to try and swing this one with a bit of confidence, and that's what they've got in spades right now. Safe picks up the 2 players, and the defuse coming online, but
here come the snake bites.
The snake bites, where's the utility? It's
there
out
it
of the defuse. Mindfreak's already killed 1. Cold-Dementado. That's a swing, and 2 kills down now, but the players are so low. Classic in hand. Spike still not tapped. Mindfreak, it's got all the positioning in the world, all the time in the world as well, and the swing just on top. That's going to be the round, the pistol secured.
And this is what makes Paper X, in my opinion, almost unbeatable on Fracture. Their defense side, they're going to run set plays on you and just crunch you on either side of the map where you have no space to back off. And then their attack sides, they get into the site very cleanly, normally playing the double duelist, of course, and then they've got post-plant setups that are phenomenal too. Like I said, they're winning over 80% of their post-plants in APAC, which is just bonkers. And Mindfreak there going all the way back to spawn, shooting his snake bites, already got the poison orb on the spike. This is going to be something that Guild have to figure out early.
I like the approach from Guild, I think, fighting over sand as well, not giving any space to PaperX.
Yeah, I think they actually played the retake very nicely, Guild. Yeah. It's just when it gets down to...
all the layers added on top, the time's running down, the snake bites, yeah, it's hard to deal with that
Very
one. But now the guns, Forsaken going to be doing a bit of cleaning out onto the side. Even the spray's like, hey guys, I'm here.
And this is a very similar setup, once more. Divide this time planting. With a rendezvous that he can get out back to halls, so he's going to look to fight this a little bit more.
Angle's locked.
Oh, and look at Benkai making the wraparound silently on the rope.
Only 2 more bullets in the Headhunter. The swing, no tricks. He puts in enough damage. Does some good work, but ultimately, look like it's going to be coming up with too much. Whip out the pistol, why not? Faster than a reload. And
oh no.
Oh
no.
Oh, the break, come on. These guys have got so much whimsy about them.
I love this team. They're so fun to watch, and they're so happy to throw in these moments of personality in there. We saw Jing in the previous map as well. But the flank from Benkai is important to keep in mind, because even if we're talking gun round here and Guild start getting things down really close, Benkai, even if he doesn't kill the final player, has an aftershock lineup that he can go for that denies the person defusing. So they're still thinking about these post plants, and they have them for the B site as well, and it looks like potentially might see something over there early. Nope, just a bit of a fake. A flash, a stun, and a dash. And PaperX are going back over to halls.
I think this is the early conditioning by PaperX just to ensure that they send that utility that way. If there's a player there, they note it, and they're going to try and position for it.
3 players fighting Dish early, and now there are a lot of people stacked on A.
Guild, are they going to try and fight this one early? The fast lane does block off that line of sight, including the slow orb. No one can drop down with the Brim Molly in place. It really has just split up the entirety of Guild in the Viper's Pit. Well, it's already on. A nade dropped down. Leo just needs to get his gun out and support this one. Orbital strike dropped on top of it. A lot of damage being just sent flying through. Russ is in a world of hurt. Falling so low, but look at that spike plant location right up top. It is chaos right now on the battlefield. Players still alive, and PaperX, they've got the numbers advantage. And here tries to move around. The pit's dropped. Mindful just playing outside of this one. Trades, is it going to be enough? No. Not enough at all.
And the safety net was always there of Benkai coming around back to Dish, and it stopped Safe from fighting. Safe spent most of that post plant waiting for the Dish reflank, and in the end, Benkai wins the duel anyway. Guild's strategy, like I said, in this tournament, they're playing 3/4 of their rounds. That's 9 out of 12 in the half for retake. And PaperX are getting free plants, and they're going to play post plant, and they're crazy good at it. The adjustment needs to be coming through, and this is only the first layer of strategy from PaperX. They haven't gone B, they haven't done anything other than a default halls push.
Same utility, by the way, just being sent flying. This time there is something a bit behind it. The PaperX players are just lurking, holding, actually, that angle, waiting for a reclear, waiting for a repick.
And Guild know that this is different, because they've got 3 players pushing out halls. So Safe knows there could be someone here.
Oh, yeah, he's favoured there. Tour de force, that's an easy kill. Repositioned, though. Benkai has worked his way down. This is a fast push now, all the way into halls. 3 of the players from Guild. See if they can do any sort of damage. That nade, impeccable, actually, the way that landed. A lot of damage being done, but healed back up, I think. That was right at the footstep there of Jing.
And PaperX are being diligent, clearing this area out. On Ascent, we saw a lot of reactive plays. If they got pushed, somebody else lurked into an area of the map. But that wasn't really possible. Benkai's the closest to it, and he's only now starting to take space over a Dish. Oh, the pace!
What? Instantaneous, man. The slide, the dash across, and of course he gets the reset off of it. He's just handed 2 kills. Pop off the ult, the man's feeling it. Down to that 2v2. Still the disrespect. Are you joking? Why are you holding that angle, man? You're against Safe. He's got a tour de force.
That is absurd. And Guild end up winning the round. That one went into a very unusual direction.
And we've been seeing that every now and then, you know, a bit of an overextension, I think, from Forsaken.
Yeah.
A couple of times, in a sense, you know, he hands him his life, gives an opportunity for Guild to get back into it. That time, it was grasped.
This play is amazing, and the spray transfer is gorgeous. The push after that as well. But there is another player that Leo, who's in halls, and if Forsaken just wraps around and they kill Leo, they win the round. And so, yeah, you're right. The only thing that has been going wrong for Paper X in this match so far is Forsaken overstepping himself occasionally.
Getting the stun and the flash, but nothing towards it over on the B side. Vi does have that ult, though.
And this is where the conditioning starts to come through. Guild offer a tiny bit of utility early on, now have 4 players over at A. And if there's any adaptation for Paper X starting to make those same lurks they were going for on Ascent, those lurks are going to find big value. Because Guild are abandoning B and just leaving it to safe zone.
Shoulders touching at the wall, it seems. 2 of the players just watching this one with the orb being grabbed in the spam. They know there's a large presence in that halls. Now you see with the wall going up. Slow orb as well to try and push them across. And as the door opens up, Trex, he attempts to capitalize. Fast lane, that's a repush through Sand. Guild, they've got the players, but can they get the kills? That's the question on their minds. It is traded. 1-for-1, 3v3 now.
And a different plant spot, the third plant spot that Paper X have gone for. And this time Mindfreak not putting his poison orb on top of it. Coldemender's going to look to go for this retake. Safe is still a long way away.
Awkward angle to be holding with the tour de force and teleports back. Difficult positioning, and look at this, yep. The wrap around by Safe. They know where Mindfreak is. Pressured the spam through. Guild with another one.
And Guild are starting to get the read on how to counter Paper X's attack side here. They're grouping up, they're overstacking sites. 4 players looking to defend A, and they still breach ult retook halls from them too. They're having to play faster, they're having to try and get picks before the spike plant goes down instead of playing those full retake setups. And this might be the first time that Paper X are forced to go on an eco. Still going for 2 Vandals, and maybe they end up forcing into this, but it doesn't look healthy to buy from Paper X.
No. It's limited. Certainly limited.
Safe once more, by the way, being the key player for Guild. Locking down B, allowing his team to rotate, getting the kills on board. He's been a beast so far in this match. It just hasn't been enough. Perhaps it can be on Fracture.
He's been really making the most of it. I think some big numbers still. Devi, you are really going to re-pick that Headhunter. He's ADS'd up. The follow-up from Forsaken is just a tad too late, and still the angle was held by Guild. Safe, this reposition right now. Could
It's so
be caught
dangerous.
unaware. There's a player already by his side. Ships in the night, but he backs away. Teleport to safety. Doesn't get punished for it.
Perfect timing, just as Mindfreak dropped the poison orb. And now a 2v4.
And Paper X have been defaulting to this when they're at this player disadvantage. We saw it on Ascent a lot. It's the contact plays, just trying to see if they're given any angles.
One enemy remaining.
A wider swing from Mindfreak. Good damage being done. Benkai gets himself onto the side though.
Benkai has already won 2 1v4s this stage. It would be an insane time to pull off another.
Doesn't look too likely though. Still with the players. Stun has to be avoided. Aftershock as well, and he's full blind. Swings to avoid a lot of the bullets and the fire that was going his way, but that's going to be an easy defuse.
And Guild staying in control. An element of their defensive setup that we didn't discuss that round was a Sage Wall that Russ just plopped down at the top of B main. And I think those walls should be able to get really good value against the way that Paper X plays if Paper X slow the tempo down. Popping a Sage Wall and just knowing that a quarter of the map is locked off and you don't have to worry about Paper X's players lurking through there is peace of mind so far in this tournament. Guild have had 3 out of 6 of the maps played so far go to overtime, and out of those 3, Guild have won 2 of them. They have been, of course, everybody apart from Coldamento is pretty inexperienced on the big stage, and yet they've looked like veterans. They've come out, they've played their best ever Valorant, they're calm, they're winning the clutch moments, they've been great in OT. They need to draw on that deep mental reserve that they've showcased to keep themselves in this. On what most people would say is Paper X's best map.
They've been approaching it with the right direction. Safe has been an absolute lifeline.
And Leo is warming up too. Not a great first map, uncharacteristically, but now over onto the breach 6 and 3, finding spots where he's been great at anchoring down areas of the map like halls, for example.
I'm out of here.
loving
This
the
is the
amount.
first dish push.
This is a different look for them. A flash and a stun. Once more, it's usually the beginning of most of these fast takes of all this space.
And Safe was posted up actually with his operator looking towards Dish. Got flashed, had to leave.
In their spawn, the Rolling Thunder cuts across. That's a stun being placed. Forsaken. Oh, he's already in there. Straight away, picks up the operator. You cannot be taking that angle. Dodging, juking. Nade's going to be pushing him back. 34 health. Holds down Mouse One, but not enough to claim the kill. The spike, though, already planted. In fact, the Resurrect was available in the back pocket of Russ. He's going to be returning Safe back into the action. This could get dangerous now for PaperX. And it's a fast play. Look at that double satchel right into the headshot. Trex and Leo to combine it all together.
What a wonderful retake from Guild. That's the Guild that we've been seeing so far in the tournament. The fast retake, the ults were perfect, the coordination, immaculate. And PaperX got completely overwhelmed. Love that round from them. Beautiful.
Really do. And, I mean, Guild have been forced to play at that increased tempo. To match PaperX, to deny them space, don't let them get too easily these post plants. And look at that. I love how aggressively and rapidly they're able to make the decision to fight over Hall's control here.
The movement as well with the blast packs was fantastic there from Trex.
I'm not going to lie. Dude, Baba looks like he is aging in real time. But, I mean, to get back onto the previous point, is one of the things that I think Trex does better than anybody else on the Rays currently. He's put so much time and work, I think, into a lot of his satchel movement that it is an extra element, is a thing that gives him an edge.
Similar look to this round as well. And PaperX find the opening kill. In fact, both Leo and Coldamenta dropping at Halls just opens up B.
And Trex, he's forced to do the impossible, trying to anchor the onslaught that was coming his way.
Whoopsie, Forsaken missed the spike.
He's picked the back up, though. It's going to be Plant in the previous position that they were laying down. Obviously, Mind Freak's still alive, 2 snake bites in his hand. How do you deal with this?
The fast retake is a great idea, but not an option that's available to them. And look at Benkai sprinting around.
I mean, Safe was aware he was taking the fight to him, but...
I mean, I think he was actually leaving to save the operator.
Right.
I don't think he was aware that Benkai was going on the flank there. But Benkai was playing up a dish and decided, hey, I'll mix it up. This round I'll go for the long lurk flank through spawn. And I think the way that PaperX are playing their post plants with, you know, Benkai over a dish and Mind Freak going for the poison orb and snake bites, you want to be fast. You want to be really quick on the retakes.
Look at that.
But you can't do anything if 2 of your players just die in halls immediately. That's not even the point of this round for PaperX. They're trying to just take a slow skirmish at halls and have a fast reactive push from Dish, but they just won the fight. Oh, wow. Oh,
he's walled off away. I think that's miscoordination, obviously, because the teleport was in place. We could get out of there, but finally, we see that tempo. Auto utility just being dumped into the back of the site. Forsaken already deep within tower. He spotted it, but he just can't quite find the head still. Pinged out, it's going to be Russ spammed through all of it, but the team just can't quite get through the choke point. That's what the Viper's pit's for. Tried to give him a bit of covering fire, but, I mean, the overdrive, it's not the best weapon for the job, is it? It can't quite go through the walls, but it does enough. Spam from Leo has the Rolling Thunder, waits for it. Now we can hear the plant.
Spike planted.
The random spam, though, not enough to claim a kill.
Coldamenta needs this pick.
And he's being so cautious of it. Diligent with the peeking up and down on the rope. He knows it's going to be held by a player. And how are you favored in this one? The timing, the stun, and the positioning.
It's beautiful.
It is good.
Well coordinated between Leo and Coldamenta. They get the punish.
I'm worried about time, though, Josh.
Leo still has Rolling Thunder here. If he knows both players are over a tree.
I'm really worried about time, because now you're going to start to see the snake bites, I think, coming through. Mindfreak's already laid it down, and with the orb buff as well, it's just being bled off the clock once more.
Yeah. Coldamenta's going to try and stick, but there's just no hope here.
There's nothing more heartbreaking as well than losing rounds in that fashion. You come into it with good ideas, but if you're just not taking them rapidly enough, if you're not coming at them with that pace to try and disrupt that post plan in the first place, the lineup Larry reigns supreme.
Yeah, it really does. Mind Freak's just applying a ton of time pressure in the post plan. And you talk about good ideas not working. The beginning of that round, Russ deliberately walls off Safe to make it look like there can't be an operator player there. And yet PaperX are still throwing stuns out, flashes out, making sure that nobody could possibly be contesting them. They're not baited by the Sage Wall going down in the slightest. That was a really cool idea from Guild that got nothing.
Round 2. Seems
Same
like the same
utility
play,
again.
doesn't it? Yep, fast lane over the top. There's no wall to try and block them. Not this time. Trademark as well. That slow field is going to be causing a bit of mischief, I think. Honestly, an opportunity for Gil to come back into this one, especially with that pickup onto Forsaken with the res in play. Now the Rolling Thunder exchange on both sides. They want to deny the plant going down in the first place. The Guild players have started to swarm this one now. They do have good positioning, but can they win out the fight? That's the question.
Spike goes down. Guild is setting up for the
What's
retake. They're in already, using the blast packs to take space.
Pushing forwards though, and now you can start to see it, pressure being applied. Half on the defuse already. Trex, he should be able to get this one, surely? Yeah.
The aftershock misses.
The aftershock misses. Not enough time being bought for the snake bite, and all the players cleaned up for Paper Rex.
And of course, if you're going to put all of your eggs in the post-plant utility basket, you've got to be able to hit them. Benkai just with a slight miss on that one. And had the aftershock found its mark, the snake bites would have been coming through afterwards as well. But for Guild, it's the fast retake. Watch how quickly they take all of this space. They've got a double blast pack in from Trex, safe supporting with the operator, and the rest of the teammates pushing in behind the space that Trex manages to gather for them. The fast retake is working for Guild.
Blow for blow, round for round, so even in this half. Again, the same play by PaperX, 3 rounds in a row. It's all going behind it, and the spam through the wall, these adaptations. Gordomenta, 2 rounds in a row, he's been able to find value. He's been rewarded with a kill just through essentially unloading the Phantom.
And it's Jing taken down. The spike is not committed, however, and this might be the first time that Mindfreak goes for one of these classic lurks that we were seeing on Ascent. Devi very marginally avoids getting punished, and Forsaken is now left in a very odd spot. Going to be dueling Russ, normally good for them.
Yeah, looking up, and he's got the crosshair placement. Once more, the precision is there. Bit of a noise bait.
It's
Trying to
drawing
fake something.
It's drawing a couple of players back towards B, but the spike was heading A.
It's because
now,
the trademark was destroyed in halls.
yeah, Benkai and Mindfreak have to make a decision. Do you commit or do you go back to B? And Forsaken is letting the team know, there's no one here, guys. Just come back. Stick to B. We're going to get the plant down.
Devi as well, pushed all the way deep.
And look how far away Coldamenta is. He's the one with the brimstone roll. He's the one that can deny this plant. And I think he's too far away.
Might just be in range, surely, with the nade. The stun to try and follow it up. Forsaken, he's already deep. Does get taken out. The orbital strike. You chunk down Benkai. He's left down to 12 HP, but he does have that aftershock once more. Needs to not miss this lineup this time around, though. Important for them. Just up to Leo and safe, retaking with the operator, never ideal. And look at the positioning as well. It's already being wrapped around by Devi. He's got this crossfire. You can hear them coming out, and that's going to be the mark found. Safe falling, down to Leo. This guy, he's been good for it in the past, but not quite this time around.
A beautifully played round from PaperX that was much more reminiscent of their mid-rounding from Ascent. But Guild have been able to keep up with them throughout this half, and I think deserve enormous props for that. Look for a moment at where Jing is on the scoreboard. 3 and 11, got taken out as the first kill. And listen, this isn't a bad half from PaperX, but he's not having that same impact that I was expecting from him on this map. And I think part of it is because he's not playing the Raze. He's not able to get double blast pack initiations. He's just kind of plodding into the site, not able to get big value on this attack half. On the defense side, he'll be looking to get value out of the Sage, but hasn't had it so far. And that's been part of the reason why Guild are up to 5. No Jing.
Hasn't really been an element in this match, in this map, I should say.
What
fast
a
lane over the top. That
what
actually
a
goes.
fast lane.
Yeah, it goes over the top. You have to stand on the boxes to do it.
It's an interesting one as well, because that's covering the trademark and making Surf think potentially someone could have been up there.
Well, that's a lot of noise being made into halls. Trex tries to take the angle, and his teammate once more, Leo. Both of them, this duo, they just mow them down. Players being found, dropped down. It's all up to Forsaken. Now, he does have the spike, but there's only so much he can do, especially when you're slow peeking those corners. 6-6 being a half. An immense amount of respect, I think, for Guild to be able to answer back after that first map.
Yeah, I think they've done an incredible job in the half to get themselves into this position, and it's safe again. 13 and 8, putting on the performances and keeping his team in it. It doesn't get any easier once PaperX go onto their defense side. They are very aggressive, and they will put pressure on Guild. but Guild themselves have got into a great position here to try and recover the series.
I think they've proven that they can stand up to it. We're going to go to to the analyst desk. I was about to say a short break, not quite yet. The action's still waiting on the other side of it, though. Analyst desk, break it down for us. What have you got?
I don't want to break. I want 4 overtimes on this map. As many overtimes as humanly possible. But guys, what a great recovery from Guild after the first map and also after the first 3 rounds of this map. I was feeling like, oh, it's not looking good.
Yeah, it didn't look good at all. It felt like PaperX started trolling at the beginning, to be honest. We started with a Benkai knife in round 2. So, yeah, for them to bring it back after that, it works really well because I think the ults that they started to get online, the amount of times that Trex is finding impact, really did bring them back in the game.
Yeah, I think some of the adaptations, especially when it comes to the A side, with like how they were retaking rather than really battling for it in a lot of the early rounds. I still don't think their B site hold was particularly good. I think they got caught out quite a lot by just how aggressive Forsaken was actually able to be, and some of the space he was taking in some of those rounds was still absurd. But yeah, this is an example of one of the retakes and some of the impact we saw from Trex.
It's not consistent though, right? You're not being able to get this over and over and over because they're pulling him like Ascent all over the map. It's just, I think the Ascent map gave them a little breather, a little lean into the ability and possibility that this stuff is about to happen. So we need to see a little bit more consistent. Now we're moving to the attack side, and this is where we really saw Guild struggle on Ascent.
Also, Jing too, if we want to talk about consistency, because obviously he's playing a different agent, and Saito and Brent touched on it, but Tom, a significant drop-off in terms of kills for him in this one.
Yeah, I do think this might be more so to do with their defensive side, like potentially going to try and lock off one side of the map while they aggress on the other. It's more of a, I guess, common way of doing it around that Sage, but it does remove the aspect of him almost being, I don't want to say the sidekick because he's never a sidekick, but the sidekick to Forsaken, because Forsaken will still be having to make those plays, otherwise you really do lose the value of having a Neon on the defense. So I'll be interested to see how they run it, but ultimately I actually think that Guild have a good opportunity on this attack. I think Trex is fantastic, and I think they have all the utility to set him up.
I mean, this is the best scoreline they possibly could have gotten after that start, but you said it at the beginning of this. I think Fracture is the most terrifying map to play against the defensive side of PaperX.
Well, it's 6-6 at the half. Definitely wasn't the same story from the first map, but let's see if Guild can actually take this all the way and get the job done. Back to you, Saisho and Brent.
Thank you very much, Sue. Yeah, I certainly hope so. Honestly, a map 3 in this series would be a treat, I think, for our first game of the playoffs. And Guild have shown great resilience being able to make this one even.
PaperX, though, aren't usually better on their defense side. Now, having said that, they usually play Jing on Raze, and they're going to push you from all over. And if you just look at the minimap and how Fracture is set up, when you start on the attack side, you barely have any space. You're so cramped. There's no corners to hide behind or cover. So if you get pushed, it is really difficult. This time, though, PaperX are playing a bit more of a conservative composition, and that's where I've got questions. Are they going to play conservative?
Squeezing.
And they're starting with a safe squeeze. What? He gets doesn't get out.
No way! Right underneath the ropes. That's such a tiny angle, but still he will fall. Safe goes down, but the 4 players of Guild, they've got to just try and push their way through. Stunned up though. The trademark, the slow field, it's all activated. Trex, he does well. He does return back with a couple of more kills, and it's a quick re-push right into Arcade.
No!
The knife is out!
You've got to be kidding me!
Out!
Jing and Russ both run out of bullets, and Jing adapts faster and pulls out the knife for a quick shank.
What is this? The Sage on Sage warfare, just fighting in the streets.
Jail Valorant.
It is brutal out here. It is brutal.
Oh, that's crazy. I mean, for starters,
that.
the pace to be able to punish safe, I love. But then what's so dangerous about PaperX on the defense side is you try and reactively go and take B main, and they get slowed by a trademark. And Forsaken is already running back to stun them. The problem with PaperX and playing against them is that they know what your reaction is going to be, and they anticipate it. They know you're going to reactively take B from them, so they go back and deal with it.
Stun over the top. A bit of Guardian spam. That's going to be 2 kills rewarded, though. A little fight took place in Halls on top of it, so despite the fact that this is a thrifty round for Guild, still looking more than dangerous.
Yeah, extremely doable, and this is Guild playing at their tempo, slowing things down now that they have the player advantage.
They would love to open this up with a quick shot, one head being found. Almost certainly turn this round. properly in their favour. Still the disrespect being shown though. Damage being done. Divide just
Spike
waits it
down
out.
A.
Here's the pick on the other side though, Coldamenta potentially getting gifted one from Mindfreak. And Mindfreak checks the wrong position. And this is where Guild are going to get rewarded because PaperX will push. And if Guild can find the timings to slow things down, they might get given picks like that.
Stun across, that's just off of the instinctual timing with the smoke being dropped. It's already pushed right through it. Benkai not wasting any time, and Trex, that bulldog that was gifted to them earlier, comes in handy indeed. A thrifty round for Guild to get themselves even once more.
And there's a knockout blow in one direction and a response instantly from Guild. They've been doing a great job in this map of controlling PaperX. That opener from Safe is awesome. And they trade 2 for 1, trying to control the aggression towards Tree.
Fuck me, man, Aaron! Why do you do that?
Yeah, man, yes!
You can see the difference in the reactions of both of the coaches there. Alex for PaperX and Barbar for Guild, and how much it means to both of these teams. What a thrifty to win.
Forsaken, no. Oh, once more the pace, the tempo. It's turned up a tad, but Leo more than ready to absorb all the aggression coming his way with the rifle. Still,
This is the
House
problem.
is turning into the 3v3, and Divide, well, of course, more than likely to re-swing and refight this one.
Player standing.
Quite favored for it, is he though? Still made it dangerous.
Very dangerous. Guild choosing to try and defend the spawn location, defend bridge against a crunch, and even with no weapons in the hands of PaperX, even with only pistols, you could see how awkward that got for the Guild players. They don't have enough cover to hide behind. They're trying to take a fight on 2 fronts, and they're getting pinched from both sides. They managed to fend off a crunch that time and take the lead 8-7. But can they do it once PaperX have got the Vandals?
Not only that, Device sitting with the operator.
Go, go, go!
And this one looks a little weird because Device going to be playing with Forsaken. I love this smoke. Going to allow Guild to take a little bit of space.
Device trying to get set up onto the angle there. What? What?
Down A.
Absolutely illegal movements that I'm just witnessing. What in the Lord's name was that?
On the other side of the map, Jing walls off Arcade, trying to get value out of this Sage. And Safe's movement through tunnel is going to end up getting stumped. Benkai hears them coming, but he's the only defender of B.
Kai into the stun, into the flash. The utility is being dumped into that choke point. Doesn't want any of the Guild players to get a foothold.
But he never has to worry about his back here. He never has to worry about getting pinched because Jing's wall has stayed up. And now you're starting to see the value of the wall on defense. However, now it's broken. PaperX with a 4v3, but Guild are all over the map.
This could get dangerous quite quickly, but it depends on this fight that's taking place at Arcade. The angle, and it's spotted out. Leo is good for it.
What a pick from Leo.
Nice.
An enormous impact kill.
Up on drop though, as soon as his trademark is broken, could spell
30 seconds left.
a tricky scenario with the time running so low. Devi is posted up into halls currently. Trademark's broken. Is he going to be able to return and turn around here? The orb goes up to try and at least deny a bit of space, but shots being missed. Devi doesn't anticipate it. Aggression by Safe, and he's taken so much off of him.
Amazing play by Safe.
10
Great
seconds
work reacting to where Devi was going to rendezvous. And with that plant, Leo has got the Rolling Thunder. I don't think it should be necessary. But you can tell Guild are thinking about all of the ways they can use to punish.
Oh, Leo with the swing is just a little bit too late.
This
That's
crossfire should be impossible to break.
It is.
But Benkai has a flash.
Surely. Gets dangerous, but it's secured.
It is a really dangerous round, but another good one from Guild. They're finding their footing in the series, getting the read of how PaperX want to play. And I mean, that shot, I don't know how he's hit it. That's a flu game kind of buff in terms of that flick. But he did get punished immediately afterwards, and that's Guild. You can pop off against them, but they're mostly going to trade you out. And the real pick that wins the round, in my opinion, is Leo finding the kill on Jing at Arcade. And Jing, again, struggling to find too much of that usual value that you get from him, which is he's a heavy fragger.
Yeah.
Currently sat with only 4 kills.
Not having the same impact compared to what we're used to. And timeout called. Game plan has to be cooked up. Adaptations need to be made. Alex is just going to be popping off.
Yeah.
You could feel the frustration earlier as well when we were showing the coaches side by side.
definitely. And both of these coaches are very vocal too. You'll see sometimes, you know, the coaches will be sat back, allowing the IGL to take their moment and discuss what they think the adaptation should be, offer some input. But I mean, Barbar's been spitting in all of these timeouts.
Yes.
And seems like Alex is no different. Just providing a little bit of input, turning the ship slightly, and hopefully in a better direction.
Guild have got the confidence. They've been edging out these rounds. Coming down sometimes to just 1 or 2 players alive, but enough to hold a lead.
And PaperX are going to be starting on an eco round here. Previously on their eco, they crunched towards bridge. There are 4 players for Guild defending that bridge area.
With the Tour de Force and the Overdrive available, it could still be a dangerous round for Guild. They do need to be cautious of this, and you can feel it as well. They heard the Tour de Force popped off. Trex is just making sure that he jump peeks these angles. In fact, everybody, they don't want to get caught unaware just in case he could be hiding.
Nobody paying too much attention, though, to Dish. And I think for PaperX, this is just expecting Guild to play slowly.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about Dish because Guild are not a fast-paced team that are going to, you know, take the risk and jump somebody into the site on their anti-eco. So PaperX playing a little more riskily on their eco round. Focused on halls, looking to try and play off the back of Mindfreak's contact.
Players over towards the B side, yeah. PaperX, I think, now looks like they're trying to take that gamble stack over towards A.
And it does look like it's going to be the right read.
There was an attempt there. You can see the smoke was popped off earlier into Arcade. Benkaido is holding this. What is going to be it? Well, the contact. That's what they were waiting for. Rolling Thunder, that connects onto them. And now the overdrive. Stuns into stuns, but the kill's being found. 2 drop down. Guild going to be donating those weapons if the other one can be received.
What a trap play. That was amazing. But now they're going back into Defy's Tour de Force, and it doesn't get easier. Forsaken's still here.
He's already here, man. He's already here. Oh my goodness, 14 seconds left. The slow orb dropped down. The response is instantaneous. The kills are flooding through. Save is able to find some significant value. Oh, Forsaken just beaming him down, man. And the thrifty win once more. Back and forth, back and forth. And I said it at the beginning of this round, Josh, it's not an easy one for Guild when they're up against that many ultimates.
It's heartbreak for both of these teams. For PaperX, they're expecting to win round 14 and start a bit of a run. And for Guild, of course, they're expecting to win that anti-eco. What an awesome trap play and a huge round from Forsaken. But he's set up so perfectly by the rest of his squad. And the hard read from Alex and from Benkai, knowing that Guild were going to be going towards halls. You hear that there in the comms from Guild. All good. It's fine. Reset. Go next. You need that mentality.
Certainly do. State of the game could change at any given moment.
But it has crushed Guild's buy. Of course with the Tour de Force, but it's the same kind of trap play. This time with Jing just swinging with a fault line off the back of somebody punishing his wall.
Yeah.
So he puts the wall up. If somebody breaks the wall, he's going to swing through it. That's some way of getting aggressive on stage.
Pinged off. Oh, they know a player right back behind it. Slow up on the aftershock. It's pretty significant pieces of utility that are going to be used to try and expend it. But of course, just chamber things. Backs away. Rendezvous. Back to safety.
Forsaken is anchoring B right now. And Guild have a lot of utility with which to flush out tower. They have the nade, they've got fault line. Trex, if he wants to, can try and double blast back in with a showstopper. I wonder if Forsaken can slip his way out of this one, if it does end up being a B split.
Forsaken seems worried.
As soon as the fault line comes in, though, he runs back into tower to try and punish whoever would be scaling.
It's, there's Leo's fault line finally being used, but now, yeah, line of sight angle, watch down, players onto the site, but the crossfire, oh, it's there. 4 players alive. Leo, not much you can do in that scenario, and it was Benkai using his fault line so they could re-clear tower with Forsaken sprinting in.
Yeah, I thought that was Leo's actually. I thought he was trying to punish Leo stunning in. But you're right, both of the breaches using the same fault line to try and maintain control over tower. And even though Forsaken falls, the rest of his team is just supporting him so well. Here's that play from Jing. Nice idea. And one of the few times that you've seen something unique out of Jing's Sage, he finds him a pick. That is also going to put a bit of fear in the back of Guild's head. And now the reactions seem much more genuine from the Paper Rex headquarters. Now that they're actually having a close game.
Yeah, being truly tested. It's an evacuation across the ropes.
Do they
wants nothing to do with it. This is an instant fast response. Look at how quickly they're moving into arcade.
And do they predict the reaction here? Yes, Benkai throwing down the stun, wondering if they could even be further along than they are.
Yep, now with a double satchel play into the showstopper right on top of the steps. Trex is good for it. Now the orbital strike. Benkai, oh, he's gifted with one. Cool, calm, and collected just the one though, before he eventually will fall to the ultimate. Control gain. They have to try and deal with Jing though, and he was into that corner, isolated, back against the wall.
Very nice play from Russ and Safe, putting pressure on him from two different directions, but Mindfreak finds a pick. That's just off the back of the vulnerable.
Yeah, able to get it. Only a couple of bullets that were needed, but the post-plant position of Guild right now is quite good. Cold Dementor does have a Brim Molly. Let's see if he has a lineup for it. It could buy him even more time, but the crossfire setup from main and back arcade. Yeah, right up into the sky. Time pressure being put on here. Mindfreak might be in a bit of trouble. Stun force through. There's that molly and the spam because they can just hear the taps coming down, and a great round by Guild. Pulling out the ultimates, making sure that they had complete control over that one.
Very well played. And I think their Guild's reaction to instantly take arcade control and go into B was nice, but you're seeing Paper Rex actually being slower than I would expect to adjust their positioning. They didn't go and fight arcade early on. Benkai honestly was caught out in tower and lucky to even get a kill in that situation. And Jing just stayed at tree, kind of tucked into a weird position, a little less mobile than when he plays the Raze. Paper Rex don't look like the same level of reactive, fast-paced, crazy set play team that they usually do when they're on Fracture. And Guild are punishing them for it. It really is classic Guild. They don't need to set up their own win conditions, they just need to break their opponents.
They're finding the Paper X are a bit tougher than the usual opponents, I think, in terms of cracking their overall game plan, but they are finding that edge. Leading by the one round, they've got the guns in their hands on either side. Just trying to see if they can get away with taking some space. Forsaken, he actually bounds that stun off the top of the wall, actually onto the ceiling. Lands, and he's posted himself back up onto the angle.
This is madness.
Are we going to come this? Stun into the corner! Oh my goodness, the wall goes down. Forsaken maybe thought that he could have got away with it at a slide-off angle, but Safety opens up the door at the wrong time there. Some teammates flash just connecting right into his face. Up to Mindfreak to see if he can lock this one off to the side. The aftershock pushes him back. Slow going, especially with the orb. Double satchel in. Are they ready for it? The teleport! Engage! Oh, back to safety. Cold Dementor needs to try and capitalize. Swings back through now into sand. Two-pronged attack right through halls as well. Ready and waiting in the spawn. That's a bit of a whiffage from Divide. A flick of the wrist right through the wall. Cold Dementor, he claims his prize.
Ice cold from Cold Dementor, but how was he allowed to get away with that? Cold Dementor taking a fight against Divine and it looked whiffy, but he still comes up with the goods. Guild somehow making that one work off the back of Cold Dementor's flank. The shot onto Benkai is nice, but this one, I was convinced that Divine was going to be able to get away with that. What a huge round for Guild to recover. And off the beginning of it too, Leo timing his fault line for when the Viper wall dropped. Guild are really getting the read for how Paper Rex want to play. They're learning as the game goes on.
Fast engage once more. Trademark is out in the open. I wonder if that's intentional by Trex. He actually triggered it. His team can get through the choke point. They're not going to be stuffed up. Rolling Thunder as well. That's going to be used to disrupt that as soon as the plant noise down. And Paper Rex, they want to play off the back of it. Damage. Oh, it's more than done. Locked back, the spike is dropped. Has to be a quick response from Guild, but it's not enough, man. What is that?
That's a fast retake. We've seen a few of them in this game so far. Both of the teams sometimes enjoy throwing him in there. And that one was quick.
Just a whiplash you're getting off these rounds. Sometimes it just opens up, and it's over in the first 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's off the back of the Breach ultimate. You've got Benkai anchoring tower, and as soon as the B hit comes through, he throws it out. It buys time for Forsaken, for Divide to run through the smoke. And they both hit their shots. Guild, despite winning 2 rounds in a row, After one loss, they are straight back onto an eco.
Just shows how close these rounds have been. Not many chances to carry the weaponry forwards, even when they're winning these rounds. The economy is just taking a beating over and over again.
And a reminder that for Guild, the only map they've won convincingly so far at this tournament was Fracture. They won 13-6. Every other map has been, you know, 2 rounds in it, super close. And they're getting pushed to the limit, but they're doing a great job of recovering after a rough map 1. It looks destined for OT.
It really does.
It's been so back and forth.
There's been no breaks in it.
And this is the first breather that we've really had. Trex looking to take a fight here with his Sheriff, perhaps onto Benkai. Trex hasn't really gone for any kind of reactive dish pushes so far. And PaperX have almost forgotten about that area of the map. They're not too threatened by it. Maybe Guild can punish them for that lax nature.
All the space being gained, though. Jing has pushed deep, breaks up that trademark, and now they've got to know where some of the positioning is, especially with Forsaken clearing halls. The top of the map, that's the direction that PaperX are going to have their eyes on. Especially drop. That's been compromised for quite some time now.
Unfortunately, Forsaken has pushed all the way out, and he is going to have halls control. These 5 players flooding out through drop.
Oh, the reactive Viper to try and disrupt it. Still, Trex is already there.
10 seconds.
Satchel across. Where is the spike? How do they get onto this one? The crossfire. Oh, it's found. Boombot will at least guide Trex towards one of the targets, but they don't have enough time.
No plan, no time. Nice idea from Guild, and certainly found some level of an opportunity, throwing a new strat, a different idea into the round. But just not quite enough with the weaponry they had and the time available. The clock has been a large enemy for Guild. Their game against Crew, they lost multiple rounds in that kind of same way.
They did.
And it feels like PaperX are starting to take their foot off the gas pedal a little bit and just ask the question of Guild, can Guild win these rounds on their own? If we stop making pushes and giving them opportunities, can Guild just pull off a big execute into us?
It's the Guild play style when they like to play slow, absorb the aggression, see if they can force mistakes out of their enemies.
Forsaken has just popped the overdrive instantly.
Oh, he's so deep. But this crossfire. Oh, the dash, the slide! Mind Freak's there to follow up, but that's classic Guild for you. The trade is instantaneous. And the Resurrect in play means that they're right back to full health. 5 players now swarming onto the A site. And not a PaperX defender in sight to try and disrupt it.
I'm so confused by that from Forsaken and Mind Freak, though. There wasn't information on the rest of the map. For all Forsaken knows, he might be running into all 5 players there. I suppose he knows Russ isn't there because there was a wall up towards Arcade, but that seemed over-aggressive to me after the slower and more retakey rounds have been working. A 3v5 retake, I'm not sure how they're going to be able to pull this one off. Guild in a great position to get up to map point.
Well, he's been pushed into this one, but the positioning is not good for PaperX. That Rolling Thunder, oh, it collides into multiple targets. Safe will fall, but time is a bit of an enemy right now for PaperX. The longer they take trying to take this space and break their way into halls, the less they're going to have to work with. Still, the molly, it disrupts it, it cuts it across. No players can work their way through into the site, and a call is made. Disciplined at the end of the day. PaperX is going to be backing away and keeping these rifles.
To some degree, a bit of a win in terms of the pressure they applied on the retake attempt. Jing, with a Resurrect, allows them to keep their economy really strong, although there is only one more round left. And they did force out a breach ult from Leo. Maybe that's a win in their books, but Guild will be feeling very happy.
One more round to deny that OT. Take this map, bring it to the 3rd and final map.
Half of Guild's maps so far in Copenhagen have gone to overtime. Can they stop this one going the same way?
To be fair, Josh, typically favoured when it gets to OT.
That's true.
Winning most of them. Freak going to be dropping down this Viper's pit, so that's going to be denying some space over towards Arcade. Minute 30 on the clock, and this contact push. 3 players ready and waiting for PaperX. They break up this trademark early on.
And Guild started the round with 4 players over at Bridge, anticipating some kind of crunch there, and slowly working their way up towards Dish. So far in this round, it's just an exchange of trademarks, an informational war.
Yeah, making sure that they threaten that they could be taking that space. But this Viper's pit is such a nuisance for them to deal with.
Guild have to remember about time management. There's 50 seconds left right now, and they're starting to move their way towards A. But this is also coinciding with Divine and Forsaken pushing out of halls. If they catch Safe, this would be devastating.
It's looking a bit worrying maybe for Guild, but Safe, he's gonna fall.
And
Drops
now
down, stunned into the corner.
they get back in time to help Jing.
It's an instant pivot though. They're gonna start to move into their own spawn. They're not even gonna be going towards the A site.
What a call, what an audible from Coldamenta.
How does he manage this one? Let's see if they can even manage to get this spike down to try and close it out. Benkai, operator in his hand. He's not the usual weapon for the job, and he's removed instantaneously now. Spike starting to get planted. Russ got enough time to spare, enough of the disruptor, but they've lost tower control. Mindfreak still up here. He needs the help of the rest of his team. All three members of them just colliding their way now right through the choke point.
They've flipped the map completely. Mindfreak still has his wall to cut these players off.
Oh my goodness.
And the Sages go 1-for-1.
The return of fire, they get it, but still the Brim Molly, it disrupts them still. Fault line being held by Leo off the tap. Gonna be using it at the choke point just to try and stop them from getting through, but now Jing is gonna start to stick this one, pushing forward, trying to hold it. They need to spam it, they need to get through this, and they can't do it. It's not enough. It's held at the end of the day. Jing, he brings it to OT for his team.
It's just had to be this way. Another one of Guild's maps goes to overtime. Barbar's gonna need to go and see a doctor.
Yeah,
I mean,
he has been animated.
he needs some cardiac treatment after all of these. But Guild have won 2 out of 3 of their OT maps so far. That time, though, in the final round, I really like the audible that Coldamenta called to run towards B, but they got punished for playing everybody off-site on the post plan. Mindfreak had not yet invested his Viper Wall, and as soon as that goes down, there's nobody who can contest and get information on whether or not Jing is sticking. As we head into the first round of OT, both chambers are picking up the glass cannon operator. And for PaperX, that means Devi's doing it on the attack side.
A fight early on, looking like they want to try and face each other, maybe into halls, and big dump of utility right over towards the B site. Usually there's a threat behind it, and Forsaken, well, he's going to be trying to follow up. The spam tries to predict where it might be, and while all this was going on, you gotta be kidding. Flicks to the side. Should never be favored there. Russ is gone.
It's a suicide fake from PaperX, and yet they still find a pick out of Forsaken. It was all designed to bait the push in halls, and they did. They baked it safe, they punished him, and now they have the plant.
They haven't actually afforded themselves to give up any positioning of this one. Jing, he plays up onto drop as well. He walled himself up now, so they've got this good crossfire and a setup, and Mindfreak, he's just late lurking. This is what Benko was doing early on all the time.
And Mindfreak, he has the post-plant positions from there. Guild get outplayed in the first round of OT.
A lot of rings around him.
An awesome idea to go for the fake. Forsaken selling it beautifully and coming out with a kill on top is just more than you can ask the guy to do. He's playing from his room with COVID.
Yeah. Reminder, that is his current situation.
And he's hitting flicks like that.
Not optimal in terms of the situation that he's living through right now. He's not there with the rest of his team up on the stage, but yeah, Josh, I mean, 25 and 23. Highest deaths on his team, but he's putting up the goods time and time again, and PaperX not wasting any time. In fact, Jing is even committing his own wall. It blocks off his team from being able to follow up right behind him. Just trying to take it, but still they're just squeezing halls.
It's impossible for Safe, and Benkai is still here to stop the reactive push.
Face in tunnel, surely. No, the players now swarming, but they're not ready for him up in tower. Benkai, he takes out Trex. It is going to get traded.
But look at the pathing here, under through tunnel. Coldamenta with a great pick. That might be what Guild need, but they will not expect these players at Arcade so fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's an instantaneous adaptation. On either side, they're going to try and double swing it. They do find themselves advantage, but they don't expect Forsaken to late play, and now it's down to the 1v1. Is this going to be closed out? PaperX is going to be taking this series. Divine with the operator. Russ, so much pressure on him. He swings through, and he just cannot come up with it. Divine wins it out. And at the end of this defuse, that is going to be the series. Under the belt of PaperX, they make their way for the first time in Masters into this upper bracket. Normally they're the team that goes out in groups or goes out into that lower bracket. This time, they are making significant strides.
And it was a hard-fought victory on Fracture, it really was, and full credit to Guild for waking up. But PaperX looked like a different beast. This is the team that went 4th place in Masters Reykjavik, And to me, they look better this time around. And I think part of that, Brent, is that they've made their way through the upper bracket this time. They had to get down into the lowers and scrap and fight and go on a run. And this time, they're not the underdogs. They could reasonably be described as the favorites, and they still gave us all of this flair. You still got the classic knife kills. 3 of them in the game, from what I can remember.
Such
2 from...
exciting team.
Yeah. And then Jing just dropping it down on Ascent as well.
I mean,
getting low with it.
This more knife kills being played. I think respect to Guild for their ability to be able to come back from Ascent. It was such a one-sided affair. It made it so close. Easily winnable on Fracture for them to battle back. But now they're going to have to do the exact same approach, battling back in the lower bracket as they are knocked down in our playoffs. Themselves forward, you can feel the energy.
And the battle between the fast-paced team and the controlled team goes the way of PaperX this time around. And how are people going to stop them? That's the question, because PaperX are not going to adjust their style too much. And Guild are one of the teams with the most discipline in the tournament.
Absolutely.
One of the slowest paced teams that we have. And that was one of the problems with PaperX previously at Iceland. They ran into DRX, who like from
Giga Chads,
Damn,
they
I love the
knew.
guy's shirt on the left, dude.
Results, crazy run.
That
Kinda
shirt
fire.
is nice. That shirt is nice.
They got some drip, dude.
Yeah,
It's
still
gonna
so
be
many
beautiful.
teams we don't know that much about. I mean, we haven't seen them play in a while, but I think that's what the playoffs is about. You know, it's all about just seeing the best of the best.